All right, today we are diving into a really groundbreaking new AI. And I'm not just talking about an AI that's good at analyzing data. I'm talking about one that's making genuine scientific discoveries pretty much all on its own. It's called Kosmos, and it could seriously change the face of science as we know it.
So to really get what's going on here, let's just start with one big question. Can an AI, if you just give it the raw data, make a discovery that a team of brilliant human scientists has already made but hasn't told anyone about yet?
To figure that out, we're going to jump straight into a real-world scientific puzzle. It's the perfect test for an AI that wants to be a scientist.
Okay, so here's the challenge. For a while now, scientists have known that cooling the body down, inducing hypothermia, can actually protect the brain from injury, like after a stroke. The thing is, nobody knew exactly how it worked. What was the biological secret? That was the mystery.
So, a research team set up an experiment. They put mice into a controlled hypothermic state and gathered just a ton of complex metabolic data straight from their brains. They wanted to see what was changing at the molecular level. Now, they had all this data, they did their analysis, but their findings were completely unpublished.
And this is where it gets really cool. The team gave Kosmos that exact same raw, unpublished data. It had no access to the human team's notes, no hints, no spoilers. Its only instruction was super simple and open-ended: figure out what's going on. What changes explain this protective effect?
So, Kosmos got to work. It chewed through all that complex data, ran what's called a pathway enrichment analysis, and it locked on to one single process that was being affected more than anything else. Something called nucleotide metabolism. That was a huge clue.
And here's the punchline. Kosmos put its findings together and came to a conclusion. It said the brain was shifting its chemistry toward a more energy-efficient process called nucleotide salvage to protect itself. And that conclusion? It was a near-perfect match for the human team's own unpublished discovery. The AI did it. It independently replicated a brand new scientific finding.
So, now that we've seen what this thing can do, let's get a proper introduction to the AI that pulled it off.
Okay, so Kosmos isn't just some fancy data cruncher. It's actually designed to copy the whole scientific process. It runs on these automated cycles of analyzing data, then searching through thousands of scientific papers for context, and then generating its own hypotheses to test.
But how in the world does it manage all that without getting totally lost? That's a huge problem that's tripped up AI agents in the past. So, let's take a look inside its architecture, its brain.
Now, the whole thing kicks off when a human scientist gives it a data set and just a general research goal. Then Kosmos unleashes two kinds of agents that work together. You've got a data analysis agent that's writing and running code, and a literature search agent that's out there reading scientific papers.
The real secret sauce, though, is this thing they call a structured world model. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like a shared research notebook. It's a live document that all the AI agents can write in. So anytime an agent finds something important, whether it's from the data or from a paper, it jots it down in this shared notebook. This keeps everyone on the same page and totally focused on the main goal.
And you've got to understand, this world model is a total game changer. Before, AI agents could maybe do a few things before they just lose the plot and get confused. But with this shared context, Kosmos can run over 200 distinct tasks in a single go, all while staying perfectly focused on the objective.
And Kosmos isn't just a brain expert. To prove it wasn't a one-trick pony, the researchers threw it a curveball in a totally different scientific field. They gave it a data set from a completely different world, materials science. Specifically, data about making next-gen solar cells. After digging through all the factors, Kosmos found that one variable was the absolute most critical make-or-break factor for success: the humidity level during a specific heating process.
And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale of the work it's doing here, in a typical run, Kosmos writes and executes, on average, 42,000 lines of code. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of autonomous data analysis. And at the exact same time, its other half is reading, on average, 1,500 full-length scientific papers to find context and connect the dots. No human researcher on Earth could possibly operate at that scale and speed.
Okay, so it can replicate unpublished findings, it can work in different fields, but how accurate and, useful are its conclusions really? To find out, they had independent expert scientists grade its homework.
The results were pretty impressive. The scientists found its raw data analysis was over 85% accurate, and its literature review is solid too. But
And this is interesting. Its ability to interpret what it all meant was accurate less than 60% of the time. It kind of suggests that while the AI is brilliant at finding the what, figuring out the why might still be a uniquely human skill.
And what about efficiency? This is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. The experts figured about a single 20-cycle run by Kosmos came up with findings that would have taken their own teams about 6 months of full-time work to achieve. That's a massive, massive speed-up.
But here's the really crucial part. Kosmos isn't just summarizing stuff we already know. The experts rated over a third of its valuable findings as either largely or completely new. It's actually generating brand new scientific insights.
So when you put all of this together, it's pretty clear we're not just looking at a new tool. We're looking at a whole new era for science.
Here's the big takeaway. We are watching a fundamental shift happen right before our eyes. AI is evolving from being a scientific assistant, a tool that helps with the boring parts, to being an autonomous partner that can help drive the entire discovery process. Which, of course, leaves us with one last huge question to think about. If an AI can now come up with ideas, analyze the data, and generate new insights all on its own, what does that mean for the human scientist? What's our new job in this incredible partnership?